Okay. So as we don't have a chair yet, I'll call this meeting to order. It is 8:03 a.m. on Friday, December 4th, and it's the first meeting of the Economic Development Advisory Committee. So welcome everyone. First item on the agenda here is approval of the agenda. So I guess we'll just need a mover and a seconder unless there's any amendments anyone would like to see on the agenda.
I'll move it if no one has any objections.
I can second that.
Okay. All right, so that's approved. And the next item is declarations of pecuniary interest. So if there's anyone has anything that they'd like to declare.
This one always confuses me when it comes to an advisory committee because everyone's here to sort of make something a little bit better that they're part of, right? So
yeah, I guess
it's personal interest though, right?
And specific to the agenda as well, right? Like if there was something on the agenda that you know, clearly would be of benefit, then that's kind of, I guess, where someone should speak up.
Right.
But seeing none, I'll move on. So the next is election of chair and vice chair. Oh, sorry, and it looks like Megan's just joining us now. So a little perfect timing. Morning, Megan.
Hello.
Just to let you know, we are live streaming the meeting right now.
Okay, great. Don't know why my camera's not on. Oh, there we go.
And we're just at the point of re-election of chair in business.
Okay.
So is there anyone that would like to nominate or jump in and put themselves up for the role of chair or vice chair?
Eager Peter.
I think having just met Libby, and I think it's good to have one of the new people, Libby. I'm not sure if you would be willing to stand, but I would like to suggest that Libby be the chair.
Well, I've been on this committee for 2 minutes.
That's right. So have we. So have we.
And because I know Libby, I'm going to second that motion.
Thanks, Harry.
It sounds like she's accepted.
Well, I'll give it a try, of course.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. And anyone want to jump in for vice chair?
Ron, do you want to jump in for that?
Okay. So you'll move that as well then, Emily?
I would nominate Ron.
Okay. So Libby,
Yes.
that means I hand this meeting off to you.
Oh, no.
But I'm here to help, so.
Okay, great. All right. So the second order of business is a review of the committee's terms of reference of the Economic Development Committee. Has everyone had a chance to go through that?
Yep. Good.
So I probably have more questions than I have direction at this point. So I would like to ask Ben about the terms of reference and how it fits into the strategic plan, in particular with timing.
Okay, so basically you're just asking me how we're gonna get all these things done in relation to time. Yeah, so, yeah, for anyone that doesn't know me, Ben Hagerman, Manager of Economic Development and Communications. Obviously, the communications piece, just before we get into this, is a big part of my job as well. I would call it about 30 to 35% of my job, of what we're trying to do here with the municipality and make residents and stakeholders a little bit more informed through my role. So the economic development component that we're really trying to drive home, and it's been a year now. So a few of the initiatives that we have on this document, terms of reference, is accommodation study, which is actually completed now. That was done in 2020, throughout 2020. And it's completed. We're going to leverage our consultant that helped us complete it to get our name out to some people that represent franchises. I've already had one discussion with someone that's represented a franchise. And we're going to, by no means is that going to be shelved and just left there. It's going to be a proactive document. Little awkward right now. There's not a lot of hotels investing in new developments at this moment. Our hotel accommodations consultant did in the report, I think he does refer to a full recovery by 2024 in the hotel industry. But hopefully over the next couple of years, we can really understand that or where we fit into a hotel kind of community. I mean, it's no secret that in the document holds a lot of information on location, and we can discuss location about it's a loaded discussion, that's for sure. But what it does tell us is that they forecast a 401 location to create the highest amount of occupancy. And we're not really set up from an infrastructure standpoint there up there yet. Where we are set up is in the kind of the middle of town, in a commercially zoned area. And when I mean infrastructure, I mean water, sewer, natural gas, all of those things that it takes to run a commercial establishment, especially something where people will be dependent on water and sewer. Downtown promotion ideas and the promotion of all businesses in the community is something I work at all the time. It's an operational thing. You've probably noticed that, throughout the year, especially of what 2020 has brought us, I've been working on and developed some programs that are there to get the shop local exposure in front of people's faces as much as we can. So I'll be bringing ideas to this committee. I'll be looking for ideas from this committee as it relates to more programming to promote our downtown and to promote our local businesses that aren't located in our downtown as well. We have a very robust industrial park where there's lots of really cool businesses up on Loyalist Drive, and they need the same set of promotion as our downtown. And our downtown, if we want it to stay the same through this period, we need to keep concentrating on getting as much foot traffic down there as we can safely. And it all stems from the local community. We can say, Kingston, Ottawa, Toronto, yeah, it all helps. But we need to make sure our local residents in Quinte West and Brighton even into Crammy and Coburg, Belleville are coming to Brighton to shop and to support our businesses, because we got a lot of really cool ones down there. So that's something that we're going to work on continuously. I guess that coincides with COVID economic recovery. Industrial park development is a initiative that's constantly being done, and physician recruitment is a back and forth, kind of more our CAO and our council, our mayor have with Paula Mason and Docks by the Bay, and then I kind of get involved when a physician has been recruited, and I help them maybe get a little bit more acquainted to the community. So in answering your original question, Libby, I'm sorry it took so long to get here.
No, that's what I mean.
But I would like to hone in on a couple major things a year, and then have all things like promotion, recovery, succession planning, industrial park. Those are all things that we're going to touch on almost every meeting. But I would like to kind of hone in on two major things a year that the committee has major involvement in, whether it be a public consultation component, whether it's bringing new ideas to the table. And I'll give you an example of that. Like Brownfield CIP is something I want to tackle early in the new year. And I've already done quite a bit of research on it. For anyone that doesn't know what a Brownfield CIP is, it's basically a community improvement plan is what CIP stands for. And a brownfield is any piece of land that has once been, contaminated, or we do know there's a certain degree of contamination in those lands because of its former use, whether it was a gas station or a industrial plant that used material that were harmful to the grounds. So that's something we're going to roll into. Obviously, you as the chair and have a big say in that, but that's something that's in my work plan that I think that this committee, it's a great starting project. It's going to take 6 months to a year to roll out the policy, to roll out the plan, to roll out the public consultation. And we can do it all in-house. We don't need to hire a consultant. We have our CAO has written a ton of these. We have a really outstanding planner on staff now, Paul Walsh, that can help us with the policy. And then we can leverage our committee to help shape the application process, the matrix that will be part of the application process. And this is all something, like I said, we can start in January. And so there's going to have to be a certain degree of input from you guys. There's probably lands out there I don't even know about that are brownfields. I know about the Cooey property. I know about the property downtown on the corner of what's that, Main Street in Prince Edward. There's a lot of possibilities with these properties, but they do require a fair amount of remediation. And depending on the size of the property, we're talking $1 million, to clean that up potentially, right? So it takes a special developer to want to purchase these properties, and we have to offer incentives through this program to attract the right person. And incentives could be things like helping them complete their environmental assessment phase 2. It could be tax breaks for a number of the first couple of years. And again, I forecast us having to take some sort of budgetary outline to the 2022 budgetary process to ensure that we have money in the CIP line item to make sure that we can fund this program and we can offer what we're going to offer. So there's going to have to be some buy-in from council, but fortunately we have 2 councillors on this committee that are going to, I'm sure, have lots of involvement along the way as we develop this program, and then can take it and inform our other councillors about how this is all going to work. The other major project we can get going on this year is, and I'm talking about all the things I was going to talk about at the end of the meeting, but that's okay. The other major project we can get rolling on this year is a sign that's actually going to be located at the corner of Prince Edward and Loyalist Drive that is going to list all of the businesses that are located in there right now. The businesses are putting out A-frame signs on the corner. We own that corner as a municipality. So we can have something installed there. We can have something mounted there that's aesthetically pleasing, that lists all the buildings. I have money in the capital budget for this project. There could be some grant opportunity, but I've actually already been a little bit, I guess, approached. I can't say too much right now, but I have been approached by a local fabricator that could potentially look at building the frame for next to nothing. So there's a lot of cool things happening in that regard, and I think it's going to really support the businesses that are down there that don't typically get a lot of organic foot traffic or vehicle traffic, and that municipality can do a little bit more to support those businesses by a simple sign. So those are two projects I think we can complete and do really well throughout 2021. And maybe we get the sign mounted in spring or summer of 2021, and that project's complete. Maybe we get the Brownfield CIP done by fall, and we're kind of looking for more to do. I don't know, but to me, those are two things over the course of a few meetings, over some homework for you guys, over lots of work for me, that we can complete.
Thank you, Ben. A lot of work to do. So in terms of this advisory committee, will we look to you for when you need help with projects, or how we can support you? Because that's what we're here for. We're not here to take one of these things and run with it. We have to, of course, work with the municipality. So is that what the process will be? We will look to you for direction as to what and when, and what you want us to do?
Yeah, I think when it comes to those kind of daily or operational projects, like a shop local program, like any sort of promotional program that supports our business, those are things where I'm welcoming ideas from you guys. So maybe our first or second meeting in the new year, that's an agenda item. Let's create a bank of ideas that will promote local business. So I'm not racking my brain every 3 months, once a quarter, whatever, 6 months, whatever the case may be, in trying to develop these programs all on my own. I'm a staff of one. I can bounce things off people around the office, but at the end of the day, it's not their job, right? Like it's and that's what the purpose of this committee is. And to me, that's kind of the best way to go about stuff like that. When it comes, say, to the industrial park sign project, that's where I'm going to need you guys to really help me out with stuff like public consultation. So helping me reach out to the businesses and talk to them, showing them potential options of signs, how it could look, making sure their businesses included in the sign, an inventory of all the businesses that are in there, me firing off an email saying, I think this is all of them. Can you verify this for me? Just stuff like that. And as we get closer and closer to completing that project, we're everyone has a little bit of a input into how the sign ends up looking, and before we actually put it up. And a huge part of that is going to be consulting businesses. The Brownfield CIP. So the policy is going to have to be pretty cut and dry through our planner. So there's not a lot of flexibility there. But things like, what do we want to offer? Do we want to offer tax incentives, tax breaks for 5 years? Should it only be 3 years? Should it be up to 10? Like, those are kind of stuff, those are conversations we can have. And then I can take that back when we're writing the policy, or we're writing the application, the matrix in which people can qualify for the CIP. Input in that. That's kind of the stuff. If you have an idea and you do some research on CIPs throughout Ontario, for brownfields, bring it forward. That's kind of the relationship I see.
Okay. So perhaps then for, how many meetings a year do we have?
We're supposed to have 6 per year at minimum. Sorry?
Maybe we should start off January with one, do you think, or?
I think, yeah, I think like that's a discussion to have is how we want to structure the meeting. The reason why we're meeting in the morning and where that all came from is we have already a full slate of evening meetings, whether it be committee, whether it be council, whether it be planning, committee of the whole. It eats up pretty much every evening. So I just thought meeting in the morning as a bit more of a business oriented group, gets people, off the ground running, and they can get on with their day, whether they got to get to the office or whether they got, other meetings to follow. It kind of gets it out of the way. Maybe Fridays aren't ideal. Maybe Thursdays or something like that are a little bit more ideal. And then maybe once we get out of this virtual meeting world that we seem to be trapped in for the time being, we meet in the council chambers. Everyone has their coffee. We do, a snack, and it's very sort of, we make, obviously it's committee of council and we keep it as formal as we have to, but it turns into a much more inviting kind of environment, and we can make it a little bit more of our own. But I think for the next couple of months, until we get into maybe March or April, virtual is sort of where we need to go. But I like the morning thing. If people don't, then let us know today. But I think it's something we should kind of try to shoot for.
Okay, and then once we have that conversation about meetings, because I see now it's the last item. Could we also sort of prioritize what the projects are that you plan to do for the year, so then there's enough of us, we might even be able to sort of put a couple of people on this one or a couple of people on something else, and we would have to, like you say, I think your suggestions are great as to what you're going to need. There's legwork that needs to be done, consultations, there's a lot of, running around to do things in addition to just thinking about the CIP is a big one. I mean, that's a legislative issue, so that's certainly something that needs a lot of input. So then we would know, what you want to sort of tackle first and second and that sort of thing. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, and so say we really want to break into the CIP at next meeting, whether it be mid to late January, whatever the case. I can bring in Bob. I can bring in, Bob Castleman, our CAO. I can bring in our manager of planning, Paul Walsh, and give everyone a little bit more information on how it's going to be structured and what we're looking to do. And it could be really informative for everyone. And we can kind of divide a little bit more task, if you will, from there. But a lot of it's just going to be providing input on what you see and what you research, and
so then, do you
helping.
have any information on CIP that you could send to the committee for those that haven't been involved in that kind of process before?
There's a really good one out of Guelph that I'll send around. Okay. Yes, Guelph is a much larger city with a much larger budget, but you'll start to see what I mean when I send it around to all the different incentives you can offer as it relates to a brownfield CIP.
And the municipalities of Belleville and Quinte West also have CIP programs for I guess that's more for their downtowns and business development than brownfield, is it? Yeah. Yeah,
I administered the downtown facade CIP in Quinte West.
Right.
And it's a really good program. It really reshaped the downtown in Trenton, and quite a few spots in Frankfurt applied and got funding as well. That could be the 2022 project, a downtown one for sure. but like I said, we gotta keep things kind of on the right path and not try to, you know, I can't overrun myself with these huge undertakings, right? And if we can do a CIP brownfield really, really well, then the following year we look at our, and we got to keep in mind, like, these are going to be granted dollars. So how much does council really want to be handing over is another kind of thing we got to think about. I know in Quinte West, the first 4 or 3 years that the downtown CIP program was launched and available, they handed out a lot of money to fix up some old facades down there. And then in the last few years, it's been very quiet, like maybe 4 or 5 applications a year.
So communications is a big piece of this as well, then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I guess while we're on the subject, is this time or this day okay or a problem for anyone?
I think I'll just throw in Thursdays or Fridays at 8 a.m. are probably fine with me. If we know well ahead, if we can schedule, at least have a fairly firm tentative schedule far enough out, it's very easy for me. Short notice is not good for me.
And I'll just add that of the 2 days, I would prefer Thursday. I like the idea of morning. I think as the coffee hits the bloodstream, we start to have our creative ideas. So I do like the idea of meeting in the morning so we can kind of hit the ground running the way Ben said. I would prefer Thursday.
Is Thursday not good for anybody?
I'm good with any day. I'm open on anything.
I will make it work.
I mean, it would be great if we could actually do the schedule for the year. If we're meeting 6 times a year, and I'm sure there will be other meetings in between, depending on the task that we're taking on at the time. But if we could set that meeting, you know, avoiding holidays and all that sort of thing, maybe that's something that we could do depending on Ben's schedule and who needs to be there and that sort of thing. Would that be helpful, or should we do it like 2 months at a time?
I think we're like the 6 is a minimum. I think we're going to be more in the 8 to 10 meetings per year range as we sort of start to see how much time some of these projects are going to take to discuss. I probably see us going January, February, March, April, May, and then see where we're at in June, July, August. Maybe we only need 1 or 2 meetings between those 3 months, and then kind of see where we're at in the fall. And, you know, maybe next December we don't meet at all as it gets a little bit life back to normal and we're a little bit busier than maybe we are right now with Christmas. But that's kind of where I see it, is kind of that 8 to 10 meetings per year, especially this first year when we're really trying to get a lot done and discuss things. Try to keep it, you know, 2 hours is a long time to talk and stare at one another, whether we're in person or virtual. Try to keep it to an hour and a half if we can, and pound as much out and be as efficient with our time as we can. I don't want to keep you guys longer than we need to, but yeah, that's kind of my outlook on it. And we can come up with that schedule, whether it's the 4th Thursday of every month, the 3rd Thursday of every month. I realize this is the first week of the month, but you know, I can't see us meeting on January 3rd. So I don't know. I know Tom had something there.
Yeah, I was just going to add, the first week is really good for the clerk's office schedule right now. We typically have 2 to 3 other committee meetings per week in the other weeks of the month, whereas in the first week of the month we only have 1 meeting currently. So just to like make so that we can, you know, distribute our agenda and minute work throughout the month, the first week would be ideal for the clerk's office.
Okay.
So given that we're not going to meet the first week in January, would we be looking at the first week in February? Is that where you're going, Tom?
I mean,
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, whatever you guys want. like, I think January 7th, that first Thursday of that month or whatever, if we want to go for it then, and
I think we should get on with it.
I'm fine with that, yeah.
If it works for you guys, the 7th, it's a long way up.
Thursday, January 7th, at 8 a.m. And the details for the call will come from you, Ben? Or Tom?
it'll always come from Tom as our recorder. He looks after all the agendas, all the minutes. If I need to send out something more operational related, then I will. But Tom will look after the Zoom links, the booking of a room once we get back to that, the minutes, the agendas, and kind of go with that process.
May I ask a question to Ben here? Referring to the brownfields, establishing who owns them and who, that's key. That's number one. Number two is everything else we're going to do. Right now, we don't know the status of a couple of properties. I know there's one that has just apparently sold, and I have no idea what's going on. But and if I did, I wouldn't say. But so something's going to happen there. And there's a couple we are still in limbo as far as who owns them and who's responsible for them. So Ben, how do we approach those things before we go running up and down the street looking to fix those problems?
Well, I think we don't necessarily have to know who owns them to develop the program. I think the first step is developing a map of where they all are, and maybe that's what I'll do before next meeting. And we can share screen and we can all get acquainted as to where all these properties are. Some of us know some of them. Some of us have probably no idea where some of them are. I only know of maybe 2 or 3. I think there's more like 5 in the community right now. And that would be step one. Understanding who owns them might be kind of down the line in terms of priority, because until we have the plan, we don't really have anything to say to the current owners anyway. So I think the map is step one.
I mean, also some of these properties are probably for sale, and having a CIP program would help that, would help the sale of a property if they knew that there was an established program that could help them with the cleanup and with remediation and so on. So
we certainly like to help.
Yeah,
we certainly like to help to move that along, Libby.
Yeah.
Sherry made a point about government involved, the program with the government with Greenfields. I think it was Sherry made a mention about that. Where are we heading with that? There's been a lot of talk about that recently, about funding and
for a brownfield CIP.
Yeah.
I'm not overly intimate with that information. I'd have to look into that a little bit more.
But I think I've heard quite a bit, but I haven't followed it. It sort of comes out, it's thrown out there every once in a while to keep everybody's interest. But anyhow, I'm sure anytime you can make improvements in those areas, there's got to be some support, provincial support, maybe even federal support. So I think we need to keep that on the back burner as well. I'm sure you are.
I guess just while on the topic, a little bit of input I could start from you guys with is, where do you know where some of these brownfield properties are? And if you have guesses, send me an email, and that'll help me develop a really good map.
What's your criteria for a brownfield? What I guess what levels of contamination or whatever you know, like, do you have that in order for us to offer those suggestions?
Just any property you know of that it could have been contaminated in the past. And then I can do I can work with our GIS staff and kind of see what the background of that property is and how much we know about it. It would probably be where I would start.
There will probably be more come out of the woodwork once you do a communication piece on that anyway, so.
Yep.
And I think several years ago there was discussion, and I think there is a list of more than 2 or 3. Not sure exactly. I know sitting on previous councils, we've had these discussions, and it's always been something, as you know, in our last budget meeting or whatever, that I did bring it up about the community improvement plans. But I know that several years ago, there is a more comprehensive list than just 2 or 3, taking in more than just, let's say, the urban area, although I don't know how far our program will be able to expand, but and I'm not sure which department that would be in, if it would be in planning or just within public works or something, but there has to be something there. I don't know at this stage who could help you there, because I know we've had recent changes in all of those departments, so it'd be hard maybe to find all of that, but I will dig through some old files that I have. I know it was, like I said, it was something that I was keen in, and certainly at a couple of the conferences over the years, I might still have some old information that if I can find it, I will certainly share it with you. And yes, I think, Ron, you and I, during our last, like I said, budget meeting, there was talk, and I think if we can be successful with one of these plans, I think we can get council on board to kind of move some more forward.
Absolutely.
I think it's good. I think we started the ball rolling, so I think we can make some positive changes with this stuff.
This committee can be very effective going forward to help speed things along in certain areas. And we haven't even talked about tourism. I know there's a headline on here. It's tourism, but lots of information below it. Those are areas that some people like tourism, some people don't. I know Sherry loves tourism, but we haven't touched on that either. So there's a lot of things we can help move along with, Ben, and planning is the best way to go, and presenting a plan is the best way to go too. So that's good, Ben. Like you put a lot of thought into it.
So
I'll pipe in if I can. You're right, Ron. I love tourism, and I know that more than 30% of our businesses are directly impacted by it, and probably an equal number indirectly impacted, including our developers. But I also have to say that I think the focus on brownfields as the initial step forward for this group is an excellent plan. This is definitely something that some of these properties have been sitting there like that for years. So for us to focus on a way to move that forward, clean up the community, get a comprehensive list of what it is that needs to be addressed, I think you've hit the nail on the head.
I agree, Sherry. However, I just hope not at the risk of kind of pushing on the back burner the economic drivers that we have already, regardless, like the industrial park, Main Street. So I know it affects everything, but like I say, sitting on DBIA at this stage, that can be an economic driver as well. Yeah. And I know, Ben, you've been working hard trying to get some of this done, but not to the point. I hope that the complete focus of this committee is just the brownfields, because and especially with COVID, we need to make sure that we don't lose focus of some of the other things that we already, because developing the brownfields, if we don't have Main Street or an industrial park, really doesn't benefit this community or anybody.
I agree 100% with what Emily's saying. And just, I don't know if we touched on the COVID economic recovery quite as much as we talked about the brownfield ICP today. or CIP, or sorry, I got that backwards. But I'm totally on board with what Emily's saying, because I think it's really important that we, like, that should also be a primary focus right now. Like, COVID is so deeply affecting, and now we're getting a second wave, and things could go back. I mean, our surrounding areas are going into further states of lockdown, and not lockdown, but they're going into yellow and orange zones. So it's like, you know, as a business owner, you got to think too, like, what does that mean for us? I mean, our main street is very barren right now, and that is not a good look, especially during COVID. So kind of how can we, I think that should be, can we have two primary focuses maybe?
I think that we all need to be aware that everything needs to be done in concert with all the items that Ben has listed under the terms of reference for this committee. We have to pick something to focus on, and I think the CIP is a good one because it will make our community a better place to do business. It will give us more businesses and more places to visit in terms of tourism and retail. But at the same time, you're right, Megan, we can't forget downtown, because, you know, that's sort of the heart and soul. It's not sort of the heart and soul, it is, of the community. And we need to make sure that what we're doing is keeping all of the things that are listed here front of mind, but certainly downtown is very key to keeping what we're doing all connected. It's sort of the glue that everything else depends on. I agree.
Yep, because the brownfield thing is a great idea. I'm a big advocate for stuff like this. I love the idea of transforming previously unusable spaces into almost like gems for a community. But nobody's going to want to come to Brighton if 45% of things are closed forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know of one brownfield that's located right in the downtown. So
yeah, right next to me, actually.
That's right. That's right. So that has a direct relation to downtown.
Yeah.
And sort of like I said previously, the COVID recovery and the promotion of our existing businesses is an ongoing discussion and an ongoing priority for me. And we have really, really solid partnerships with Bay of Quinte Tourism and Northumberland County Tourism that we leverage a lot, and they do a lot for us. We pay them a per capita funding, yes, but it's certainly a lot more efficient than what I could do on my own, trying to work 200 hours a week or trying to put together a business case for a full-time 3 more people or whatever we would need to do what they can do for us. But like I said, I think another really good agenda item in an upcoming meeting, whether it's in January or February, is promotional ideas. And we create a bank of promotional ideas that are that are sort of for downtown businesses, for industrial park businesses, for small businesses in general. And we can roll those out as we go.
Can I mention, you talk about vacancies in downtown. Maybe we to recognize where those vacancies are and maybe help in some way to, whether it's landlord issues or whether it's like drawing a hotel here. We want to draw business here. We want to draw a hub of business into our center. What is it going to take to bring more small shops or whatever it is that we're looking for? What type of direction does the DBI want what's their vision of the downtown looking like if we had in a perfect world here? What would we go after? What would we look for to fill, and what is available, and who are the key players in either the people owning them, or are they local, or are they from out of town that own these properties? So
I think
it's just like that the corner sitting there for all these years was a disgrace. So I think we need to look at go right to the heart of it. That's my point. Megan, you've got it all.
I agree and I don't at the same time. I think that they're equally important. I don't think one is more important than the other.
Yeah.
And I do think, Ron, you're totally right. Like with the empty business fronts, it's a lot more systemic than just, is it COVID and empty shop fronts? Like, is it the landlords? Are the landlords really bad people? Like, are they not charging a fair rate, or are they not providing a proper space for businesses to thrive? So I think that in terms of the empty shopfront thing, it's kind of comorbid with the COVID thing, right? It's COVID and maybe some not so great environments for small businesses to thrive in. So,
and it might be of value, Megan, for us in the future to do sort of a little exit interview when businesses go. I don't know if maybe that's already done, Ben, but let's find out why they're leaving. Is it retirement, or is it, like you say, is it a landlord issue? Is it opening hours, or what are the problems in the downtown, and work towards correcting those and make it a better environment to do business?
Yeah, I would say, oh, sorry, Ron.
Just quickly, I think Sherry would be a great help, and I know the DBIA is on top of it every day.
Yeah.
And I know Sherry, you have been too.
I know, I'm chomping at the bit. You're right,
Yeah, I know
Ron.
you've got a lot of information there, so.
I didn't mean, when I said that I thought brownfield focus was a good place to start, I certainly didn't mean to say that we shouldn't focus on tourism or the downtown core. And Megan hit the nail on the head there. There's a whole host of reasons why people leave the downtown core. Some of it is landlord related, and some of it is just the interest of pulling back the budget so they can survive. So we do have a combination of reasons, and I think the exit interview is a good idea. I wouldn't be against that, but the brownfield site in the downtown core and some of the others, I mean, we know these sites are still migrating, and so there's a risk of brownfielding other areas if they're not addressed. So I think that's my bigger concern with that.
So yeah, to your point, Sherry, maybe then like a happy middle ground would be like focusing on brownfields that are near the not necessarily just this one, but ones that are like, because if we pick a brownfield that's kind of on the outskirts of town, we will eventually get to it, right? And we're not going to change every single brownfield in 1 year. It should be maybe like one brownfield at a time. And I think maybe if we pick ones that are kind of near where we want more economic stimulation, then that might also kind of like it's like a both thing.
I think the community action or the community improvement plan won't tell us which one is going to be addressed. It'll depend on who's willing to invest.
Right.
So, and actually there's a brownfield site that's not near the downtown core that is a threat to our industrial park. So I think we just need to, Ben's right, let's get the community improvement plan and let's see what we can put in place to encourage investment. And then whatever investors are willing to put their money into those sites, that's where the development will happen.
Okay, I have a second question. I know that I don't want to make this meeting drag on any longer, but about the community improvement of the brownfield. And again, I don't want to seem like I'm some kind of lobbyist against improving brownfields. I'm very pro improving them. However, I'm like totally down for new investors, but also we have to think too about what is sustainable over a long time economically. Are we going to just let anybody who doesn't mesh well with the downtown or not downtown, sorry, but just like who doesn't mesh well with the community in because we just want their money? Or do we want them to be like, have a plan? Why is this going to work long term? I mean, I've never done this before, but like, that's a thing that I get really concerned about. I'm worried that, maybe the right investor is going to be an overpriced condominium with no commercial space in it. Like that frightens me as a person who, wants to be in this town forever. So these are things that I hope that we can openly talk about. And I'm like very, again, I'm like an advocate for business, but there is a right business and a wrong business.
And I think, Megan, that was, the municipality's zoning will probably take care of a lot of those concerns. And it really isn't, and I appreciate we're already thinking in our heads about certain brownfields, and some of them need to be cleaned up because it'll create a better flow in the downtown or a better flow in a business area. But there are also some brownfields that need to be cleaned up because of environmental issues as well. So the thing that we're doing right now is to develop that policy. And once we develop that policy and communicate it, you know, we will be able to target certain owners of those properties, but also just doing that communications piece will allow maybe new investors to come forward and buy properties and so on. So I think the first step will be to developing the terms of reference and then put some meat on that of a CIP and making it attractive for and feasible, possible for people to take on, because it's a huge thing to take on a property and clean it and then, you know, build on it and so on, and especially these days. So you know, we can start discussing that at the next meeting, and also we can put on the agenda some promotional ideas for small business. We're going to see a lot of those over the Christmas holidays now, so just keep your ears and eyes open on some of these things. And you know.
So just as a final point, in terms of the brownfield, I know I've talked a lot in the last 5-10 minutes. That's, you guys are going to get used to that. But in terms of the brownfield thing, one of like my favorite brownfield projects is up in Haliburton County, and it's called Abbey Gardens. And maybe you guys, if you're interested in like what can be done with a brownfield. So Abbey Gardens was previously a granite and gravel mine, and it was like totally overdone. And basically, I mean, a guy like a wealthy entrepreneur just invested a lot of money. Now, granted, that's the perfect thing, right? It's just a guy out of the kindness of his heart who just wants to see the environment go right. But it's cool. They've kind of expanded over the last 15 years, and it started with just trying to rehabilitate the soil into making it usable again. And then they started growing stuff in the soil, and then they made a pony sanctuary, which is like the cutest thing. And I mean, you can go and like do little things. It's like a tourist destination as well, but then they opened a brewery, and now they do like a yurt building thing there. Like they have all kinds of cool stuff. So check out Abbey Gardens for ideas on cool things that can be done.
Yeah, like your mention of sort of that investor that comes to your community, that's a real thing. Like that's not a stroke of luck. Those are called, in economic development, those are called champions. And I live in Napanee, and we have a fellow that purchased, I think it was 3 buildings downtown. Made high-end condos on the top, not high-end, but nice condos on the top, and redid all the commercial space on the bottom, put in an elevator, like made it accessible, and it's turned into these beautiful old school brick buildings with nice windows, and like that was like a $5 million project that he just wanted to invest. I'm assuming it helped as a tax shelter. I don't know, but he wanted to invest into the community because he was tired of driving by this old green sided building on his way to his cottage. That's literally what it was. And
tax shelter or no, like if it's a tax shelter, by all means, put your money in, right? And I mean, maybe the first step thinking about the CIP thing, I mean, while we close, because everybody seems pretty much like in agreement that that's a good first project, along with all the other things that we'll be doing. Maybe the first thing is like how to entice a champion, like what would make them love Brighton, what would make them want to, you know, and we do have a lot of cottagers who are like wealthy people who just come here for the summer, and now they've been here for COVID. How do we get them to maybe invest in nice things like that? Things that, you know, make Brighton a memorable place. I don't know.
Yeah. I had another comment back to the selection of business and that kind of thought process. In terms of the industrial park, we have a form on our economic development page where I send all my inquiries to. And they are to, so if they want to purchase property in our industrial park, that business or that lead fills out a form. I have a phone discussion with them, and I put their business plan together in a report for council, and in closed session, I present that report. So council has a say and has an idea of what kind of business is looking to come to Brighton. And if it's something that they don't believe fits, then they let me know, and we can kind of do something about it. But if it's something that looks really good and positive for the community, then I continue on and help generate the agreement of purchase and sale for the buyer and us to sell it to them. So we are doing a certain level of screening already in knowing what kind of business are coming. When we have a new business coming as well that's buying potential private property, and they are applying for a rezoning or a minor variance through our planning department, I usually get brought in on those conversations and have an idea of what kind of business is coming to Brighton that just picked up some private property. And those are exciting conversations too, because when someone picks up private property for probably an overpriced market value, they really want to come to Brighton. And then by them going to the planning department to discuss what they're trying to do with the lands, they have their ducks in a row and they're ready to go. So just to give you an idea of how we kind of screen businesses and how we hear about leads and things like that.
So you would actually have, a great opportunity then to see some of these people and meet some investors as well. Ben, I promise I won't do this in any other meetings because I know I've skipped all over the place here. Your 2021 Economic Development Outlook, we already went through that earlier, did we? Or did you have anything else you wanted to say about that?
Sorry, I missed that. You kind of cut out.
Sorry.
When you said 2021, I just missed that.
Yeah, no, item number 4.3 is 2021 Economic Development Outlook.
Oh, sorry.
I think you've talked about most of those things. Anyway.
Yeah, we've done that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So I assume there's no correspondence yet?
No.
All right, so unless there's any other items, we're coming up to an hour now. We have our next meeting for Thursday, January 7th at 8 o'clock. And we'll get the details from Tom. And are there any other issues or anything else anyone wanted to say before we close for the morning?
You go first, I'll wait.
Okay. Yeah, just a sort of procedural thing. I just wanted to check, do you guys want to adopt the terms of reference as presented for now and make it like a living document that would be amended as things progress, or do you want to just adopt it or table it for now? So just kind of get an idea for how I should minute that discussion.
I think adopting the terms of reference is probably a good legislative thing for us to do, and then we can review this annually, and if there are changes, there will be changes because the priorities will change. Then we can make amendments at that time.
So we just need a mover and a seconder for that then.
I'll second that.
So are we good with that, Tom?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay. Any other comments?
I have a comment, Lizzie, or a question. Libby, sorry, not Lizzie. Sorry. We spoke about the Northumberland Economic Development and Tourism. Where the municipality is mandated to be part of that, and we are also invested in the Bay of Quinte Regional Marketing Board. I believe Councillor Deputy Mayor Vink sits on that one. Quinte Economic Development Commission, we don't hear much from them, Ben. Even through council agendas of late. I know several years ago we used to get kind of ongoing monthly reports as we would get from some of these others. And these other boards. I'm wondering if we could get a little bit, maybe for some of us on the committee, just exactly, I know they help search out businesses. They're kind of the umbrella over some of these, our smaller boards and commissions. But I'm wondering if we could have at some meeting, whether it's the next one, I know it's Christmas, everybody's busy. We don't need paperwork and coming out of everywhere, but it might be helpful as well as to know exactly what these other boards do, so that we might have other ideas as how to tap into them for support. Just my comment.
Yep. So in the terms of reference, and that's a great, thank you for reminding me. I've sort of outlined that I'd like to get a rotation of our partners to come in and have 10 minutes to kind of give an update of what they've been up to. So that will mean everyone that you just spoke to, Pecuniary Tourism, Northumberland, and QEDC. There's probably more I'm not even thinking about right now, but yeah, QEDC, we're actually working with them. They provide leads, they provide funding opportunities, they provide some partnership kind of stuff that holds a lot of value, that is hard to quantify in some ways, but yeah, like
and it's that regional thing, right?
Yeah, like QEDC, like we're a hard suitor for them because our industrial park is kind of small, so they're confined to like 1-2 acre developments, whereas other places, a lot of the leads they get at times are the person needs 5 or 10 acres. But we still have an ongoing, very close relationship, and I think they do bring us a lot of value. But yeah, we'll get them out. Chris is a good guy. He loves talking business and talking about what they do. But we'll definitely bring all the groups in to give a 10-minute delegation as we move through the meetings.
Yeah, I just think it's, for a small community like ours and small boards like ours, that we need to leverage as much as we can from these more regional, as you said, Ron, boards as well. I mean, we don't have the big bucks, some of them do, and we pay in for those big bucks. So we need to make sure that we're getting our money's worth. And I know, as you said, Ben, as far as the industrial park goes, maybe we're a little bit too small for some of these bigger investors. But at the end of the day, we are one of the better communities that these people should invest into, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, having said that, Emily, I think you're right. Like, we may be too small for some investors, but some businesses may be too small for other parks. So there are some really good fits, and I think we need to stay on their radar. And I know that Ben and I guess somebody in development and planning are at the QEDC table. I'm not sure, Ben, but I think now with the establishment of this committee, that having sort of regular updates is a great idea, and will enable us to stay on the radar and take advantage of any opportunities that maybe on the border of fitting. Maybe there's something we can do to attract more to the park. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. My other question is, some of these committees, they meet also, the boards meet regular, and like I say, I know we have representation on Bay of Quinte. I'm not sure who represents the municipality on both QEDC or at Northumberland. I'm assuming that you do, Ben. But if these meetings are, I'm sure, open and public, that maybe there might come a point where maybe someone from this committee or two from this committee, maybe we need to make presentations as well to get our names out there at some of these, if we can kind of work that out. Maybe we need to rattle the chains of these people, squeaky wheel. Maybe that's where we need to be as well, in support of you, obviously.
Yeah, the mayor is our rep from council on QEDC, and then I sit in on them and give a report from the municipality every meeting, an update, and then we have a few, or we have, I believe, 2, Jake DeGroot and The other gentleman's name is escaping me, but there are citizen representatives, there are business representatives on that committee.
Could we get more than updated reports?
Sorry?
Go ahead, Ron. I'll wait till you speak. Sorry.
Our deputy mayor Laura Vinks on that board too, isn't the mayor and the deputy mayor both on that? Yeah, Quinny Economic I'm talking about.
No, not that I'm aware of. I believe just the mayor.
Yeah, I think Laura's on Bay of Quinny for sure.
Laura is on the Bay of Quinny Regional Marketing Board. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe could we get regular or quarterly reports from these? Like I said, we don't really see we don't see minutes or anything from these meetings. Would it be good? There might be things on there that we need to discuss, and whether or not we need to then sit there, that we could then at least maybe share or send correspondence and things like that to these if there's something that we feel we need to, like I said, blow our horn for.
And there may be funding programs and that sort of thing that we could be better aware of as well. I don't know. I think these are not public meetings, but as a representative at the table, representing an organization, Ben, I guess you would be able to share like the main points of the meeting with the committee.
Yeah, generally speaking, there's a report from Chris himself as to what type of project staff have been working on. Right. And then we go around the kind of partner table, I guess, if you will, and Quinny West, ourselves, and Belleville does an update on kind of some community initiatives going on or any type of new businesses going on, things like that. That's kind of what the setup of their meetings are. But yeah, I can start forwarding minutes as it relates to that board for sure.
Okay.
Well, maybe our first guest should be Chris King, and you can put him in the hot seat, and we. I'm getting out of this to focus on recovery from what you said, Megan. I think you brought up a very good point there. The recovery, but also the ongoing or the going forward with the improvement of the situation in our economic area of downtown. I'll use the word downtown, and the whole our region within Brighton of businesses and how they're doing and what we can do to improve that. So if we could focus that on that part, and you've got the industrial part well in hand, Ben. I know that. I think you're doing very well with that, and also this, that signage, that Loyalist Drive's getting redone. It's good. Hopefully, it'll be a sidewalk along there or something. You want walking traffic, so that maybe I'm getting from this. We've got some good things to work on, and I think we got to stick with your plan that you've sort of brought forward. But I think Megan made a very good point there. I think it's slipping away on, and sort of what she's saying to us is it's slipping away on us, and a lot of people don't really maybe not realize or don't want to admit it. But I think she's made a very valid point on that. So if we could, maybe Chris can help us in that area too. I see things jumping. You look at Belleville; they're working real hard for their downtown. Probably went a little overboard, maybe, but their problem was also. I'm sort of getting a little bit off topic, but I think we need to be able to voice what comes to your mind sometimes at these meetings, because you lose it once you say goodbye for another month. The landlords were a part of a problem there too, and I know Quinny West had a bit of that going on, and maybe there still is. There's still empty buildings there that say they're for lease, and they've been for lease for what, 15, 20 years, the same darn building, and it's empty. So, these are the things that we need to focus on, I think, to build a good, vibrant community, as we call. And the industrial part, we're not an industrial town. We are a tourist town, but we don't make big thing of that, because we expect the park is the one that just brings thousands of people here every year. So we don't need to worry about it. That's not true. Tourism's 12 months a year. So, and that's what all flows into that economy of the business economy, the small business person or the small operation. We don't have big boxes, thank God. To use an expression, we could use some medium ones maybe, but so I just wanted to throw all that in one little bunch there and get the feel of, see what you guys think about where we're going that way. And we can spend a lot of time on brownfield and all these things, but the real meat of it is if there is a problem, and it's recovery is a problem, and coming out of it and keeping it going, whatever happens, orange, brown, green, red, whatever.
Yeah, but maybe there's a way that we can do both, right? Maybe there's a way we might have to get a little creative and fulfill multiple things together as like unified projects, right? So it's like maybe the recovery and the brownfield could like become maybe not the same, but interwoven.
Well, I think whatever we do, whether it's at the brownfields or the downtown promotions or whatever it might be, will show that we are moving forward, that we're not standing still, and we're actually taking steps to make, then you have many more hands now with us. So, we'll look to you. You're there firsthand. You're there every day, and you'll know what is the most important for the community. And then we can develop our plans to help you moving forward. So, so I guess I think we've covered all of the items. Any last words from anybody, or we'll set the meeting, as I said, for January 7th. Anything else from anyone?
Just another procedural thing. Just need a mover and a seconder
A
to,
motion to adjourn?
yeah.
Okay, anybody motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Okay, Ron. Did someone second?
I'll do it.
Okay, Megan. Okay, we'll see you all, if not before, on January 7th. Have a great Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, you as well.
Yes, you too. Happy New Year.
Yep.
Happy New
Stay
Year.
safe, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Later.